Hello, everyone. I am Derek Fields, and I'm here for another episode of Custom Build, where we explore the bespoke professions throughout the games industry to let you know that there's many opportunities out there for you. Today, I have another guest whom I'm excited to be speaking with and have you learn about how they intersect with the industry, if I can speak appropriately. And so, without wasting any time, I would love it if you could introduce yourself and share how you intersect in the games industry.
All right. My name is Glen Henry. I'm the face and fingers behind Sprite Range Studios, which is a micro-ish independent game development studio based in Kingston, Jamaica. Yeah.
Right on, right on. And now, when you say for those who might be learning about the games industry for the first time, hands and fingers, what sort of roles are we talking about?
All right. So for me specifically, it's production, like getting things together, the hands themselves, and then
Yeah,
fingers. I'm also the primary artist behind my project. So.
I love the how the analogy kind of continued. And we're talking about like I'm both the palm and the what do they call them, digits or phalanges, depending on your
hmm
what
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
remember from biology. Um, that I love that, and I think this would be a really fun opportunity to ask. What does production mean to you? Like, how do you enact yourself in that role? Because I think production can go many different routes depending
hmm
on the needs of a studio, and it would be great to hear from your experience how you occupy that role.
Okay. So really and truthfully, I am like the idea guy on Rails. So what that means is I take my imagination, the ideas that are bouncing around in my head,
Hmm.
things that I'm throwing at the wall, and I try to build some structure around that to make sure that things actually happen. So that's taking a high concept and breaking it down, interrogating it properly
Hmm.
into some form of playable rule set. Um, Mapping out okay how much time I would need to like code that, build that out, um, how much time I would need on the art,
Hmm.
what other help do I need? Do I need help with promotion? Do I need audio help? Do I need quality assurance?
Yeah.
Are there any funding opportunities? So again, idea guy on Rails. I am sitting with myself, checking my own
Yeah.
unbridled enthusiasm with regards to like game dev.
Unbridled enthusiasm. I love that. I think that's really spectacular. So that means you're like, hey, Glenn, the designer, we need to talk. And you're like, Glenn, the producer, I'm listening to you. And
Mhm.
taking inventory of what needs to be done, looking at it from an overall scope, and then breaking those tasks down, or delegating, if necessary.
If
Um,
necessary, yeah.
yeah, I think that's spectacular. In arriving to this point where you are now the hands and fingers at Sprite Wrench, what I'm sorry, did you even I might have took those words out of your mouth. Did you get to mention the name of your studio?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, being the hands and fingers at Sprite Wrench, what led you to occupying those roles? I would love to know in your history of learning games, becoming a developer, how did that profession make sense to you?
Okay, so it's kind of a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But um, so on the island, there is not really a game development scene or industry, I should say.
Hmm.
So what you find is that everyone is a hobbyist of some flavor. Uh, I my game dev journey started in university, where I was studying comp sci as a lifelong artist, somebody who was self-taught and always passionate about visual design and characters and things like that. So comic books, manga, all of that are passions of mine.
Yeah.
I wanted to figure out a way of combining both. Right, I want to combine my love of technology and my passion for art. Game dev, game design felt like a good fit. Um, now now with that locked in place, like the how kind of had to materialize, and the it was roughly around the same time that the indie game movie, the documentary came out,
Hmm.
kind of just showcasing that, you know, this is how it's done. Like you can do this, you can make games in this way. This kind of small, scrappy, bespoke setup
Yeah.
versus what I thought up until that time was I have to go abroad. I have to go to a foreign university. I have to try to find a job at Nintendo, at Sony, at places like that before I can even get a foot in the door. And
Right.
that's scary. Um, but after watching that and then starting to get my toe into the indie scene and figuring out, okay, I can do this. Um, Teaching myself how to code in those environments because we learned general coding practice, but we didn't
Hmm.
necessarily learn anything specific. So learning XNA framework and building some early games in that, and then seeing what other technologies I can make games in, like I make games in JavaScript and HTML5 and that type of
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
um, that's kind of how I eventually started my path. Like I just started making small games, releasing them on the what was Sprite Range at the time, and then eventually, as I got a day job, got more experience, you know, realized okay, I can formalize this. I can register as a company. I
Yeah.
can take my learnings from a day job as a project manager and apply that to my own projects, which I was doing already,
Right.
and kind of saying, okay, this is how it looks and this is how it all pans out. So it, it it's a very long path, a long journey here to get where I'm at now. I can't say exactly what that route was, but it was a many little steps in what I feel was like me trying to be truer to myself.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like, from what you had said, that Indie Game the movie, it kind of was that leaping off point, the choice to dive into the space. Were there any other influences while you were, coming into your own that have played a similar role in motivating you to, become a developer?
Not so much as a developer, but
Hmm.
as kind of like an adjacent uh, thing that popped up.
Yeah,
So uh, I am very involved with my local community here, which we call the JGDS, Jamaica Game Developer Society.
yeah.
It's not a formal group. It's kind of just like a conglomeration of people who
Not a
want to
formal
learn more
group
about video
yet. Not a formal group
games.
yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But we have about 300 people on Discord
Yeah.
from
Wow. Wow.
Jamaica as well as as the wider Caribbean.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the people who kind of inspired me to do that or to continue that here are like my friends, Graham Reed, um, Zane Francis, and a bunch of other people who we're all kind of doing the same thing. We're all kind of trying to make sense of it, and
Mhm.
that's kind of what that community like grew out of.
Yeah.
That like five or so people that eventually are like, okay, we now have a Discord. It's like first we
Yeah.
were on Facebook, and then we're on Slack, and now we're on Discord,
Right.
and just trying to push that and seeing what other people are doing in the wider community, like Rami, who was at that time like doing a lot of traveling to like different indie communities and seeing what
Mhm.
they're doing and spotlighting their work.
Yeah.
Um, been very I've been following his advocacy and his writings and his thinking around game design publishing, as well as growing local communities and like
Yeah.
trying to juggle both and at the same time find what like a sustainable path is as
Yeah.
an indie developer in the Caribbean. So I feel like I answered the question, but kind of went a step further. So
That's all right. That's all right. I mean, this is your story, and we can take it any direction that makes sense. And so, I it I love that you are bringing attention to the value and power of community and how much action can happen when so many are centering efforts around the same thing. And it's really powerful being involved in, say, a Caribbean game community, as everyone is navigating that understanding and relationship of games with themselves. That I think 300 people is a really big success story in terms of, something that was labeled as not official. I feel like it's on the cusp of, becoming something really grand, as it already sounds like it is. Um, are there what other success stories or moments of joy have happened in your career that have also provided, you know, support or momentum for your development, similar to the community that you just mentioned?
Um, hmm, I mean, it's gonna kind of tie, like most of my highlight moments kind of tie back to the community. Like there are a
Yeah,
couple moments that like
great.
bring me unbridled joy and kind of remind me that you know like it's all worth it.
Hmm.
So mm, uh, around when the pandemic first kind of started kicking off and we're entering into lockdowns,
Yeah.
we pulled together a series of or kind of a program called what we call the Crash Course series, which we were inviting people from the industry to come and talk to the community. Right, community is mostly hobbyists, and a large number of them are like teens into early university,
Yeah.
and just come talk about area of their expertise. Um, this was actually done jointly with uh, Rami, who I think he did the very first talk.
Yeah.
Um, and by that point in time, I would have been trying to pull together events and stuff like that. And that was probably the first event that kind of worked.
Yeah.
Like people showed up, and they were interested, they were engaged. And at one point, I remember like pausing, like I'm muting myself and stuff. And I just like cried a little bit. It's like it was it meant a lot that people showed up, people were interested, and it showed that there's worth in this.
Right.
So
Right.
uh, yeah, and then I think the second one I can recall would have been like the Windies Direct, which we did last year, which was basically it was whenever was starting doing those showcases. It
Hmm.
was because E3 and everything wasn't happening, so they needed another way of promoting the games. We decided let's just do a supercut trailer of um, games and projects from the Caribbean, like
Yeah.
from Caribbean developers. Uh, and we got submissions. We got some really cool projects. And we put the trailers together, and we got coverage for it, and it was really cool. Um, we're trying to do it again, and trying to pull it together and make it be like a flagship kind of thing every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, the response in both cases kind of just reminds you that even though you kind of face certain setbacks, certain bits of hardship, um, it there are wins. There is a reason why you're kind of doing this, and you know it's not just all fun and games, pun
Hmm.
intended.
Would you care to illuminate maybe some of those hurdles or hardships that have occurred throughout your history in creating games?
All right. So it kind of circles right back to like that community angle.
Hmm.
So as a solo indie or a solo-ish indie, I use the ish because we are all kind of helping each other, and I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to acknowledge that, right?
Absolutely.
Um, it's very hard to maintain motivation like in a vacuum.
Hmm.
Um, so having that space, having the ability to spitball random ideas to Graham or um, ask Zane for feedback on like this design or things like that, or
Hmm.
share what do you think of this article that I found on gamedeveloper.com or stuff like that.
Hmm.
Back then it would be called Gamma Sutra.
Right.
Um, all right. That meant a lot and kind of kept us going forward. Um, in a space where there really wasn't that much support.
Yeah.
So, like, even from an education standpoint, like, there's no game design courses. There was no structure like that.
Hmm.
They're in place now, and there are more courses around animation and things like that. But growing up, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Um, Getting financial backing for these projects is also not really a thing. Like local context doesn't is very risk averse,
Yeah.
one, and doesn't necessarily understand the business of games. So we kind of are fighting this active, you know, I guess pushback is not a word, but we have to teach while we build. Right?
Hmm.
We're basically laying the tracks while the train is going.
Yeah.
And that's exhausting, and that's hard. Um, and really and truthfully, the only bomb for all of that is to kind of say, okay, we're all in this together. We're all trying to do this. Oh, that project's really cool. You deserve funding, even if it's to say to that person like that project deserves funding. Even if you haven't gotten it, it does deserve it. Like having somebody
Right.
else externally validated
Right.
is important. It kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, absolutely. It it is without a doubt, strenuous to make games because they there's longevity to them. Um, you know, eh, at least in the capacity of a game that you want to make and release to a specific platform, um, has longevity. And of course, you would hope that those efforts can be um, in some ways recouped in terms of the the time that was committed, and hopefully get that back financially, so that you can continue to create and sustain the ability to create. um what are your hopes, or I would say, what are your goals, both for um yourself as a developer and Sprite Wrench, and then what are your goals as they relate to your community? Because these things have been sort of twofold in our conversation today. It seems like that the future of them being hand in hand is pretty guaranteed.
Mm. Um. So yes, they've been hand in hand. I would for my studio. I recently went full time
Yeah.
independent.
Hey, congrats.
So up, thank you. So
That's a
up
big
until
milestone.
2020,
Yeah, we got to celebrate that.
yeah, it's still weird. It's still weird. It's only been a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
months, so that shift is still it's understanding that shift is still a process.
Yeah.
Um, because again, being indie used to being scrappy, being
Mhm.
a entrepreneur venture is also still you're very used to being scrappy. So trying to find a way to adjust to the change and still maintain like a healthy state of mind, a healthy state of being
Mhm.
is a challenge because it's very easy to kind of just get yourself lost in work, burnout, and then have all of the negativity that comes with that.
Certainly.
So finding a sustainable path for Sprite Range is like the main goal, the
Yeah.
top goal. Right now, it's the juggle between my own creative IP that I have built up over the years, as well as some contract gigs. So finding a path forward with that is a goal. As for the community, I want to I want it to continue to kind of swell and
Mhm.
kind of grow to a point where eventually, like in some configuration, I'm not entirely sure what the ideal format is, but we are able to publish
Yeah.
and give some form of financial support to the games for community members and things like that. So if that is even just a pie in the sky fund that
Mhm.
people take from and then pay back into
Yeah.
from game sales, that would be like awesome. That would be great. Like that is like the end goal right now.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
being able to support other people who are like 10, 15, 18-year old me who are in love with the medium
Yeah.
video games. Like that's all they think about, that's all they talk about. Being able to reward that passion and encourage that
Mhm.
in some way would be great.
Yeah. I think um I think that's incredible. It um in sort of an altruistic manner, wanting to allow others to be able to commit to something that they believe in, and you trusting in that belief, almost, kind of, in a way, this is, well, not in a way, this is certainly servicing a positive outcome for an industry that is still asking for diverse stories, diverse modes of play. And I think we guarantee that by allowing more people, more creators, from all over the world to be able to contribute to it. It's a really wonderful thing that you're among your goals, is wanting to propel your community forward. So, shout outs for that commitment. And with again, with a Discord of 300 people and some change, I imagine that horizon is not as far away as it might seem. Um, your 3 months of being a full-time developer, next year you might be saying something totally different, like, oh yeah, and we just announced this new Caribbean fund, and so on and so on. Yeah, I'm manifesting all the positive outcomes. I'm being I trend towards optimism and pragmatism, but I would say it's like
Hmm.
60-40. um, um, I absolutely love that. Yeah, when it and in your perspective about the future, being really optimistic, I think is really incredible. Um, a component of custom build, along with understanding your story, your custom build as a developer, we also ask each of our guests to share some sort of custom build that is special to them. We spent this time learning, what makes Glen, and now we are transitioning to a moment of, well, what pulls you to games, what's behind the curtain a little bit, to see how you think, what is it that you like to engage with. And so I've asked you to share with me a custom build, something that was special to you, and you were very gracious to bring that forth in the form of some gameplay from Marvel Snap. Would you care to illuminate what it is we are taking a look at?
Okay, so I'm not even entirely sure the angle to take this, but
Yeah,
what you're looking at is my Marvel Snap collection. It's a game that has like slowly and sneakily taken over my life for the past year. At this point,
yeah,
has it been a year? I think it's been a year since launch. Um, and as somebody who's like been into like card games since like childhood, like Pokemon TCG,
mm-hmm,
Magic the Gathering, that type of stuff, like seeing a refreshing uh experience based around that same concept is really appealing to me.
yeah,
Um, and it scratches that itch in my brain as a designer, like to look at like these interesting compounding effects and different, design decisions, and
uh-huh,
see how they work together, both thematically, because there is that narrative component, and a sucker for like good
I see that
narrative, right?
Miles card.
Right, exactly. Miles is there. Um, and seeing how that impacts, like, okay, their abilities and stuff like that. So, like, you see stuff like Iron Man, his ability is like double the power at a location, but then
Yeah,
Ironheart's ability is to like randomly boost other other uh other other locations, other
uh-huh,
cards, and then you can see the interaction between the two of them. And it's like, okay, they're related, so their power sets are related. So it's like scratch that itch. It's a very approachable game. I mean, matches are normally like 2-3 minutes, so
mm-hmm,
you're waiting in line, or you know you are waiting at the drive-through, or you're waiting for your Pop Tarts to pop up, or it's just very easy to play the game and just get some time out, and it rewards you for that because it
yeah,
allows you to get all this awesome art, the different variants and things like that, and it's not predatory.
yeah.
I'm still wondering like how it's not predatory. It's like it's amazing what they've done with this game. Like, yeah.
I'm glad that it's not. I've had a little bit of time to engage with it, and you're right about it scratching that itch, that TCG itch. And its gameplay, the loop for its gameplay, it's fun, it's snappy. Oh, that was an unintended
That's the
pun.
point.
It's yeah, but it is. It's fun and it's snappy. Um, and collecting the different variations and like card faces, I enjoyed. I got to know, looking at the deck that's, or the cards that you've collected here, who are some of your favorites, that you can't help to put into a deck together?
I keep recently it's
Hmm.
been Rogue.
Okay,
Um and that's specifically because of her ability to like steal ongoing abilities from the opponent. It's like
cool.
it's such a nobody expects it, and it just swings the game around. And when that happens, it feels like big brain play. Like, haha,
Yeah.
smart.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Are there any characters? Because I when I look at this and I started playing, my immediate goal for this game became, oh, I got to get Miles. In fact, I got to get every spider character that's there, and then I realized how long that's probably going to take me because I'm not gonna I at this time, no guarantees. At this time, I do not have any intentions of putting any money into it, and so
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm just gonna keep organically playing, learning these other players and having fun. Um, do you find yourself at a similar intersection where you want to make a specific team just because they might have come from a similar show or they follow a specific trend?
Okay, so that one deck that we just saw on the screen called like Bob and Weave,
Yeah.
that one was built, or I first made that deck coming out of watching Across the Spider Verse.
Oh, I love that.
So
That's
they
tight.
like, so I saw the movie, saw the cards, and they also released like a content update, which
Yeah.
put like Spider Gwen and Miles Morales got like an extra skin
Heck
and
yeah.
put in Spider Pig and all of those uh Spider Ham, sorry,
Yeah.
all the other characters, and I'm like, yeah, like I built the deck around that primarily for because of the movie, and it's fun. Like it's just unbridled fun. Like I don't mind spending money on the game
Mhm.
because it's not going to ask me more for than like $9 a month
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
their subscription thing, and then they just give you everything else based on
Ah, I see.
how much or how little you play. And they're constantly experimenting with their monetization plans. So they like recently just did a little change, and of course, the production and game designer in me are like, "Oh, that's real interesting. I wonder what their content pipeline is like. I wonder how
Mhm.
they do this." And okay, why are they trying this monetization strategy? Is it because it's not converting as much? Like what? Like
Right,
how
right.
sticky is the game? Like all those questions start popping up, and I'm like, while that's going on in the back of my head, I'm like, Human Torch move to middle lane. Mhm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's spectacular to hear that, not only did it scratch some nostalgia for you, but it continues to further some game and production analysis. It's like a self-fulfilling machine. You are iterating and satisfying some memories. Um
Mhm.
I love it. It makes me want to open it up. Right now my time has been the blips of time have been filled with Duolingo, where I'm just intermittently studying Japanese and Korean now. And
Mhm.
so I'm gonna have to reinstall Marvel Snap and fill like, some of those breaks ins with that as well again. It's a good time.
All right. Cool. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. When you do, we can link up and play a couple games.
Oh, you'll probably destroy me. I have like 5 cards. No, I have a very small collection. But yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I feel like my deck is worth a little something. Um, and then I'll still get wrecked by Rogue probably. So um, that'll be great. Uh, Glenn, I want to thank you for showing up on Custom Build and sharing your story about you and your community. I think it's incredible what you're doing and then the goals that you have for wanting to further game development, both in Jamaica and the Caribbeans. And so it's just really spectacular. And um, I can't wait to see what else comes of that. Um, for others who are just hearing about you for the first time and want to stay connected with Sprite Wrench or you online, where can they follow you?
So I'm at Sprite Wrench pretty much everywhere on Twitter, on Threads, on Blue Sky if you have an invite. Yeah, Instagram. Yeah, I'm all over the place. You plug
Yeah,
in Sprite Wrench, chances are that's me. If you want to shoot an email, you can shoot me at ghenry at Sprite Wrench as well. And yeah,
right on. Well, thank you again, and hopefully we can have another. Hopefully we can circle back with each other with more episodes on, or with more updates on another episode of Custom Build. I'll see you around.
all right. Looking forward to it.
Take care.